Today we will talk about Africa. Africa is one of the continents where we have resource-rich regions. Name any country in African continent. You could see that each country is rich in their own resources. And also, the African continent is the only continent where the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn and the equator passes through, which means that it is a tropical continent where this continent is highly dependent on monsoon and rainfall. Now, you could see that in today's news, the number of people who are displacing from the African continent are quite in number. There are three types of people who are displacing. First is the refugees. The refugees are those people who go to another country. Secondly is the internally displaced people who are displaced within their country. They move from one region to another region within the country. Thirdly is the asylum seekers. That is those people who seek protection in another country. Now, why this displacement is happening at an uncontrolled level is a big question. Firstly, we would go into the geographical factors. It is the climate change. The Sahel region in the African continent is becoming very humid due to climate change. So those countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, those countries that are situated within the Sahel region of Africa, which is mostly a dry region of Africa, the people are moving from those regions because of the humidity and because of climate change. Secondly, Africa is undergoing a lot of wars. There is a lot of unstable governments in African continent. So when the countries are itself unstable, people are not sure whether they are going to stay in that particular country. Thirdly, it is the poverty. Since I have mentioned that it is a tropical continent where they depend on rainfall. So when the rainfall pattern changes, it would affect their food security. They will not have enough food because they depend on rainfall. So most of the people are under poverty. They are not getting enough access to food. These are the major factors that drive people to move away from African continent. But the underlying reason why African continent has a lot of wars is rooted back to the historical scramble for Africa. The phrase scramble for Africa was actually developed by the British and French. During that particular period of time, the British and French, they divided the territories in the African continent among themselves so that they could get all the resources. But when it was time for division, they actually created a map which was completely disastrous. They didn't look into the factors of ethnicity. They didn't look into any other factors, and they created divisions among the countries in the African continent. So the divisions in the African continent is not perfect. Well, it has become disastrous. So that is why even now in Africa, there has been a lot of wars on ethnicity because the map of African continent has been drawn very differently from the regions where Africans live. So that is the historical cause. Thank you.